listen, let's get started. So again, it's Mathieu Poupard, and he's going to talk about driving growth, strategic relationships. So,
thank you. I thought it'd be, by myself for this session. So I had like a joke all prepared, like, welcome to this like strong wind, no slide, wearing hipster sunglasses session. But I mean, you're kind of like stealing my mojo here.
I can actually
No, that's fine. That's fine. We'll do it. So, thank you, you guys, for joining this session. What we had in mind and what the folks at B2B Rocks had asked us to come and share is our journey on partnering with, and I'm going to name the company, Microsoft, for the past 4 years. So how we came to launch that strategic partnership, the reasons behind it, and sharing a couple of tips and best practices reflecting on that 4-year journey.
Okay, great. Well, excellent.
Good stuff. So a couple of words about who we are, I guess. First, and introducing myself is the minimum I could do. So my name is Matt. I'm in charge of managing our tech alliances and strategic partnerships for Klaxoon. I am based out of our French HQ in Brittany, Rennes. And regarding Klaxoon and who we are, we came to market back in 2015 with the ambition to offer teams with the possibility to boost participation, drive more engagement, get more feedback, drive more outcomes, and get more ideas as a result of the use of our SaaS-based product. So our flagship SaaS product is called the Workshop Platform. It features a range of different collaborative activities. We have a digital whiteboard, we can quiz, we can survey, we can live poll. We have a gamified presentation app that you're using right now. Everything here in that SaaS product is designed to help teams to synchronize more efficiently, run more smooth workshops, and get more out of it and drive their projects more easily. Klaxoon today, that's about 10,000 clients in over 120 countries. We're used by millions of teams on a daily basis. We started working with large enterprise businesses here in France back in 2015, the L'Oreal, the Schneider Electrics, the EDFs. But today, the spectrum of users is pretty wide. We're also working with small, mid-sized corporations, with public services and administrations, all the way to schools, universities, and consultants as well. So that's who we are in a nutshell. And then again, feel free to tell me who you guys are in the audience. I just opened a quick question on Klaxoon just to gauge who's in the room. So you can click on that ping bar and leave me the name of your company. So we'll keep a trace of who was attending here. And I'll launch another question to allow you guys to ask your questions as we go in a second.
Why don't you tell us about the partnership? I'm really curious about how you work with Microsoft. They're a kind of big, well-known behemoth.
They are. So, I mean, the storytelling leading to us sharing tips and reflecting on best practices, hopefully giving you guys some insights if you're considering to do the same. It started in 2018, so not necessarily at the beginning of the Klaxoon journey, and I'll tell you why in the tip section. But so Microsoft came to us, basically. They knocked on our door. They identified Klaxoon through 2 major events. We had just raised money, so that's usually helping. It was a Series B in the spring of 2018 for an amount of 42 million euros, so solid raise for European companies back then. And they also spotted us at Vivatech. So the event is next week, and this is kind of like where they saw the potential of Klaxoon becoming an innovative third-party player they would like to associate to their Microsoft 365 environment. They were looking back then in 2018 to do a strong push on Microsoft Teams, a product that was not necessarily rolled out at companies back in 2018, but they were looking to do it not just with Microsoft products, but with a set of different partners to reassure clients that it wouldn't be a closed environment. It would also be able to leverage more innovative, collaborative experience by by being able to access third-party players like Klaxoon directly and natively from Teams. So came to us, knocked on our door in that summer, and we just at that point said, you know what? I mean, I think it's time. So from then, I mean, it really moved on quite rapidly. We flew to Seattle in the month of September. We were asked to deliver a live demo of our app in Teams, which was not like live just yet, but in October of that year. So we did a live demo at Microsoft Experiences in 2018, and from then on released the app for the public audience, and were named Microsoft Partner of the Year in 2020, became an IP co-sell partner. We'll come back to that. And so today we're looking at a very multifaceted partnership. It started with, you know, a product connection, but today, if I had to describe what, you know, is the secret sauce of that partnership, it is first and foremost a business partnership. Microsoft has an interest in seeing Klaxoon doing well at their clients and at our clients as well, and we'll come back to that in a second. So a 4-year journey that was on a high-speed train, if I would say, that involved internally for us thinking differently about the way we do business as well. Staff more people, think about indirect sales, from a product perspective, opening APIs, and so on and so on. So it was a whole journey, but well worth it because we're 100% sure it helped to close more deals, to clear some hurdles for clients overseas that didn't necessarily know Klaxoon. We're a well-known brand in France and in Europe. It might not be the case overseas, and coming with that Microsoft label, the awards, and so on, is definitely allowing us to secure meetings and or make sales.
Clearly, you know, that helped you guys boost your visibility. Were you guys measuring that? Were you looking at statistics and KPIs to figure that out?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in all sales conversations in our CRM, we're able to kind of like tag like the reasons behind it, what made us move forward, and so on. And Microsoft Now is a subject that comes back, and there's like a tick button that we call co-sell that comes back a lot in the metrics we're looking at. You know, there's a CRM that we're also maintaining with Microsoft in terms of like joint opportunities. We're looking this year at like 2 to 3 million of opportunities that lives in that CRM aside of our own funnel as well. So this is another way to measure the extra boost that this relationship has been able to bring to us.
Yeah, it's interesting because typically I think it's smaller companies that make overtures to bigger companies hoping to get on their radar, and they actually came and sought you out. Did you have any other overtures from other big companies that came?
Yeah, and I mean, we can touch on the tips that I had for you guys about timing. This is usually a question that, you know, is coming to us a lot. Like, when is it a good time to launch a strategic partnership, a tech alliance, whatever you call it? For us, it was about being ready, right? And which means almost, if I had to sum up why you should get going, you should get going when you don't need that strategic partnership anymore. So from 2015 until 2018, we had these requests coming to us, Microsoft and some others, but we didn't really feel that, you know, we had established our own value proposal in the market that we were shooting for, to be able to move with such a giant partner as well. So our fear, if I can say, not a fear, but concern, was to be featureized. You know, people identifying us as like, oh, this is the nice add-on that I can launch from Slack or Teams. You know, then, you know, good luck trying to make a sell after that. So from 2015 until 2018, we really worked solo on making our own sale and establishing our value prop. And then, you know, came the Microsoft partnership opportunity as a way for us to accelerate and boost growth in a way that we would not, Klaxoon solo, be able to do. So I'd say timing is right when you decide. Like you should feel sometimes that you're able to say no, or, you know, thank you, but let's discuss later.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, what about concerns about being productized by Microsoft? Did you ever have any concerns that Microsoft, some of the functionality that you had, that might just pick your brain and roll that into their product?
Sure. I mean, Microsoft has a, you know, kind of like competing product with one of our apps. It's called Microsoft Whiteboard.
Okay.
And basically, I mean, they came to us because we were moving much faster than these guys. So they saw a value in integrating a much more innovative player in their Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Having said that, they're basically telling you, if you keep moving, you know, you're not in trouble. If you stop innovating, we might play catch up. So
yeah, that's it's just anything. But it goes back to your point. You need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet a little bit before you engage with them. Otherwise, they'll.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think you have to, you know, be financially stable. You have to be, you know, with an existing client base, a strong one, before going for these partnerships, because then it's a whole separate sort of segment of your growth, I can say. Having said that, when partnering, our decision was kind of like led by, you know, adding more revenue and growth, right? This is second question that we get asked a lot is, you know, why partnering? What makes a good strategic partnership? In the end, it should all be about driving revenue. It should all be about your customers. Having said that, this is not really the reason why first we went ahead with partnering with Microsoft. Revenue generation came after. For us, the first reason, obviously that's not something we told Microsoft directly, but you know, they're okay now. I mean, the journey is going on well. But we partnered with these guys to get extra visibility and extra chips on our shoulder as we were looking to grow ourselves. So I'd say for us, first, that partnership was more product and branding partnership than a business partnership. You know, we reattached all the kind of like Azure hyperscaler consumption credits. That's what Microsoft is interested in. We reattached these wagons later in the game. So they were kind of like polite enough to also wait for us to be ready to move on that part. And understanding that Klaxoon was first in need of more branding, more credibility as a result of being kind of like put forward by Microsoft. So kind of like respectful of our own timeline in that sense.
You know, these strategic partnerships where there's technical integrations, of course, you also need to, you know, you need cross-organizational competencies. You need people from across your organization. So who had visibility? Who was pushing that at the C level or at the VP level? And what were the main groups that you were working with as the partner manager?
Yeah, it's a good point, which could lead as well to asking us, like, do you need a dedicated team, right?
Yeah.
So back in 2018, I was basically, you know, asked for me to take that alliance role, which did not exist before at Klaxoon. Decision came from our CEO and founder, Mathieu Boucher, where there is a lot of Matts in a company to make it easy, but our CTO as well, saying, you know what, like, I'm ready to take on integration projects. You know, we're going to be able to move forward on this. So these two guys felt ready that they could, you know, push play on that button, but decided as well that the existing structure internally, the existing teams, the way we were organized, was not necessarily set perfectly for us to take on these projects. So I was brought to the job for me to act as a central point of network at first. So to that question, do you need a dedicated team? We moved in two different motions. First, no dedicated team per se, but someone as a referent, if I can say, in charge of making sure that we'd be able to coordinate all teams internally to move forward on partnering with Microsoft, which was about building a tech integration, but also starting to think about GTM and co-sell and revenue generation. So liaising with the marketing teams and the sales teams. But, you know, this was kind of like the first step. Like, now we're I'd say, organized with dedicated resources in charge of driving that partnership forward. So indirect sales is a motion that we set after partnering with Microsoft. So we created an indirect sales department reporting to our CSO. And on the marketing side, we now have dedicated folks only working on providing assets for Microsoft and other partners as well, which we didn't have or needed, I'd say, back in 2018, but it's much needed now if you want to make the most of it.
Yeah, you know, Microsoft is such a big company. It's a little bit like the Titanic. So did you ever need them to move a little bit more in your direction? Did you, or make concessions to you guys?
Yeah, exactly. What I said, like back in 2018, we were pretty clear. Like it wouldn't be about doing it all from day one. We were using a different infrastructure. We were not on Azure, so this was a big project for us to take on. That's not what we needed back in 2018. Our clients were not asking for multi-cloud hosting, and our hosting was fine for us to keep doing sales. What we were looking at is to get more visibility, and especially more of a GTM play overseas in markets that we didn't really have necessary resources to do well in. So we came to them saying, okay, great, we can put that on the roadmap. We'll do it eventually. We commit to it, but first, we'll just, do joint events. We'll just communicate about us being available in Teams, and that's what we're going to do. And again, back in 2020, we started working on that infrastructure migration and so on and so on. So, feel free to also set your conditions, and they were kind of like okay with it. But one caveat to this is I think it worked because we went to Microsoft Corp. So these guys from the engineering side understood the constraints. We didn't start from the Microsoft Startup program here in France, which is a little bit more driven by, hey, you guys need to, run on Azure, and this is business first, and we'll talk product later.
Yeah.
So, feel free to kind of like shoot at the HQ level. It really helped us.
Yeah, I think you can get bogged down at a lower level for a long
Exactly.
time. Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions?
I can see one here, and you guys can raise your hand. So someone's saying, let's say you didn't raise or meet at Vivatech. How would you have got in contact with the right person in Microsoft? It's a good question. So it's about doing the history again. But I would say, use that tip that I just gave, like target the partnership people at corp level that might be interested in your position. Take a look at how your product can complement these tech giants' ecosystems, and try to look for the partner marketing people and approach them saying, it'd be great to work with you guys. Though, we've talked to other startups here in France who started by connecting with the startup program with Microsoft France, and they seem to be doing well as well. So you can also approach these guys. They, are very eager on talking to you guys as well. So either or. Any other questions? And you guys did great on the who's in the room. I can see that there's a lot of companies, so this is super cool. I just pushed the tip slide for you guys to keep. You can do a print screen of it if you want on your mobile phone. That session will stay active. Do we have time for another question? We have 2 minutes, right?
We've got about 2 minutes left. So
Speak up.
absolutely.
It doesn't have to land on Klaxoon as well, right? Yes. The mic is coming to you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. How do you measure the wealth of this partnership?
Yeah. So in different ways. On the branding side, it's a little bit more intangible, obviously, right? Because it's about co-branding, and this is super tricky to measure. Though in sales conversations, we're asking our sales to report if they are moving forward jointly with their peers at Microsoft. So for us to expand at large clients now, systematically, we're doing joint account mapping with our peers at Microsoft, and we're measuring if we're able to get their help. So, are they providing us with the adequate VIP level contact that we don't necessarily have right now because we started from a bottom-up perspective at L'Oreal, for example, a couple of years ago? Are they coming to us to pitch together our solution? Are they inviting us to pitch at their business proposal session as well? And we're also able to track in terms of the number of opportunities that Microsoft declares in their CRM that we have with them as well. So there's a lot of KPIs that you can measure to make sure that it is worth the investment as well. The only more difficult part to measure is the influence on the branding side. This is the tricky part to measure, but we're sure that it helped.
I'd just like to add, we actually, at B2B Rocks, we did a webinar recently on partner-led growth. And so, there's a lot of people that are writing about this, and I think this is an underappreciated avenue of growth. And so if you're interested in reading more about this as well, I can recommend OpenView has written some articles on this. So if you search OpenView and partnering, you'll find some really good content about the importance of partnering and different aspects. It's customer acquisition cost, churn. Oftentimes, if you're able to successfully partner, for example, if someone decides they don't want to use Microsoft anymore, if they're using Klaxon with Microsoft, that's 2 products that they're taking out. So the product is actually stickier as well. So there's a lot of really interesting aspects to partnering, and if it's done right. If it's done wrong, it can be really challenging. Yeah.
It can be a complex machine to set up.
Yeah.
But, beside partnering with a tech partner, it opened to us their ecosystem of business partners, right? The distributors, the resellers, and so on. And it allowed us to really move faster with these guys because we came recommended with Microsoft. We didn't have to approach a Software One or someone else saying, hey, we're kind of like this player here. We're doing well in Europe, but we're not necessarily super well known overseas. Do you want to work with us? It might be trickier if you don't come with the recommendation from that tech partner.
Yeah, the trust part of it as well. Well, listen, thank you very much. If you would be so kind as to give him a big round of applause.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for attending.